no surprise to hear that video is a really big deal for telecom operators. I've got with me today Azran Osman-Rani, the COO of iflix Malaysia, a fast-growing video-on-demand startup. Azran, introduce your company, please.
Thanks for having me, Robert. iflix is a one-year-old internet video-on-demand service that is very focused on serving the 1 billion emerging markets, middle-class consumers from Southeast Asia to the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. And our proposition is, how do you deliver great entertainment content that is, number one, more tailored to the infrastructure limitations that emerging market consumers and telecommunications operators have in these markets, and secondly, content that is localized and adapted to the individual tastes and preferences and cultures of emerging markets, rather than the alternative, which is either a traditional pay television broadcaster that tends to have a very high cost of service, or a developed market global OTT operator, which tends to take a very Hollywood-centric, one-size-fits-all approach to consumers.
Okay, and how do telecom operators help you achieve that?
So our model is to work very, very closely with telcos. We have strategic partnerships with all the leading telco operators in the markets that we're in. And the model is this. The biggest challenge that content providers and telco operators have is that because traditional television is inaccessible because of high cost of delivery, people are now turning to its piracy. And we have got to go through a big change to change those habits, very similar to what the music industry went to. And so if a telco only wanted to take a very sort of low-risk approach, treating a video OTT service as just an add-on additional revenue stream, that's not going to do much to fundamentally change people's habits. So what we've done with our strategic partners is to say, we'll invest and deliver our content at a very aggressive wholesale rate to our telcos, a rate which they would not be able to get because they tend to acquire content only for local markets, whereas we acquire content for a 50, 100 million customer base in dozens of countries. And what we do with the telcos is we hard bundle the iflix subscription as part of an existing fixed broadband bandwidth data package or a mobile telco data package. And by doing so, the barrier to adoption is much less because now for the consumer, iflix comes to them at no additional cost. For the telco, it means they now have a product that is beautifully curated, tailored to customers in their markets, that will entice customers to use either more bandwidth packages or more data packages on the mobile side. And what we've seen is when consumers now are consuming at least 2 gigabytes of data per month on a mobile network, or 3 to 4 gigabytes a month of video content on iflix on a fixed broadband or Wi-Fi network, the value that this additional data consumption creates for telcos is far in excess of what they're paying us for the wholesale rate. So that's the way that we think is the economic model of generating revenue for the telco, instead of just simply making the customers pay on top, because otherwise you're not going to get that adoption.
Okay, so it's generating stickiness and data revenue for the telcos.
Absolutely, yes.
And this is fixed and mobile?
Both.
Right. Who are the main operators that you're working with?
Sure. In Malaysia, Telkom Malaysia is the leading fixed broadband operator, PLDT in the Philippines, Telkom Indonesia. These are the number one fixed broadband markets. We work with the number one mobile telco operators as well, whether it's Digi and Maxis in Malaysia, Smart in the Philippines, Indosat in Indonesia, amongst others. And so it's a product that's catered for both fixed broadband and mobile telecommunications.
Okay, so really interesting sounding business both for you and the telcos. Crystal ball time, how's the technology, how's the business model going to change going forward?
So we have an interesting view on that, which is unlike the developed market view, which tends to look at the higher end consumers who are very fixated in ultra high definition, 4K technology, big 80-inch screen television sets. We look at the mass markets, and consumers are where mobile is the only device and not their primary device for entertainment, where their bandwidth infrastructure may be limited to a 1 megabit per second 3G connectivity. So how do you deliver great streaming content with those infrastructure limitations? How do you enable download capability so that when you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can download and you don't eat up too much into your limited data quotas? How do you deal with compression so that it again makes video file transfers much more efficient? But the thing is this, it's not an either or thing, because today the mobile device is becoming so central and much easier connected to big screen TVs. You no longer need set-top boxes, which is the traditional model. You can use your mobile device either on the go or to connect to your big screen TV to watch your content on that experience, if you choose to. And that's why I think it's a much more powerful way of delivering content through the mobile device.
Fascinating stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, interesting stuff. That's how a telco can partner with an OTT player.